Hello. Hey guys, how you doing? Happy Monday to you. Pastor Nick is on his way to get ready for another Maximize Monday. Here we are yet again. If you're tuning in, let us know where you're watching from. I know we just had another snowstorm here on the East Coast. It's nice seeing the snow. So let us know if you got some snow also. If you're on the west side in California, let us know how beautiful the weather is there. But yeah, say hello so we can see who's watching with us today.
Lord, hello.
Oh, hey there.
Very upfront, huh?
Up close and personal.
Right. Faye, what's up?
Hey.
How y'all doing? You are doing well. It's cold outside.
Pastor Nick, you finally have been getting your snow.
Yes.
Are you still liking it?
Actually, yes, I am actually really good with it.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
Keisha.
What's up, Ed? How you doing, man? Yeah, I'm actually enjoying the snow.
I am done. I am through with snow. I don't ever want to see it again for the rest of this year.
Really? Why?
It was a lot more fun when I was younger. Now I got to shovel and take all the ice off my car.
Yeah, work. And then it's supposed to snow Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
What is going on?
And then next Tuesday and next Wednesday. Jeez.
Just making up because it's been a few years since we've had a good snowstorm.
That's what I'm trying to tell people. Like, it's what it is. Y'all, you get used to it. I actually liked the game last night. I tried to tell people they was all the Chiefs. There's no way they're gonna lose. I said, yo,
Yeah.
the Buccaneers defense is legit and they are solid. And they had a great game plan.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch the game?
No, you could tell from the beginning that it was gonna be a wrap. They weren't gonna.
Yeah.
The Chiefs weren't gonna make it.
You watched the whole game?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
And
it was a little lackluster.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good game.
Yeah.
Because like you saw a little glimpse of hope with Kansas City, then it just got shot down. It was just like it's hard to win a game when your quarterback's being chased around the whole entire game. But
I think it started going early. Like Matthews, like you could tell.
You're breaking up. I ain't hearing.
Am I freezing for you?
And you're frozen, yeah.
Oh.
Say it again.
I said you could tell, like it started going to the team's head with Matthews. You could see he was starting to get frustrated.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because they're not used to that.
Yeah.
See, this is the Chiefs' offense is so good that their defense doesn't have to be that great most games because they just nobody can stop them. They just got to do enough. But the problem is when you got a team that can slow your offense down and make you wonder, and you're basically just And the Chiefs pass most of the game, so if they make you one-dimensional and they take your best thing away, just it happens. They said they took the Chiefs' first read away and it messed them up the whole game. They just could they didn't adjust. They should have went to play game plan. They should have ran the ball more in the first half. The dumb timeouts before halftime. They should let the clock run out. It'd been 14-6 at halftime, and it was just,
Yeah. Will Allen says anyone who attempts to discredit Tom Brady at this point needs to read the 10th commandment. As much, I am not a fan of Tom Brady, but he did good. He plays a good game.
Yeah. Oh, Alice Hannah, I'm not sure when you did, but do me a favor. Call the church extension 107 or 317, and we'll connect with you. All right, extension. Call the church 856-784. Maya put in the comments 2220. Extension. What'd you say?
You're breaking up, so I'm not getting the whole number.
Oh, you don't know the church number yet?
It's 856-784-2220.
Yes, extension 107.
And then extensions
107 or extension 317. 107 is Pastor Prescott. 317 is mine. So call one of us and we'll get it taken care of. So
I have to say though, I felt bad for Andy Reid with everything that went on.
You know what
his son.
Oh yeah, but I feel bad for them girls because this is his second DUI.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
His second one, and you know that was probably it could have been weighing on Andy Reid's heart.
Mm-hmm.
But Andy Reid, he reminded me of when Eagles Andy Reid when he got just caught up.
Yeah.
That lost look in his face.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
And him, he wants to pass all game long. If they would have ran the ball more in the first half and balanced it out some, it wouldn't have been as bad. But it just they weren't clicking from the door and they looked frustrated and it just didn't.
Yeah. From the get go.
From the get go, it was just like this is not going to go the way they want it to go.
Mm-hmm.
That defense is just too good. So, anywho, y'all please share if you haven't already. We see folk coming in. Hey, Sid. Hey, Jalen. Hey, Mona.
Hey.
What's up, Keisha? And anybody else we forgot or missed in the comments. Good afternoon. Yeah, and I learned I spelled the weekend wrong. It's the third E isn't in there.
You have to millennialize it. You gotta get rid of that third E.
Yeah, because I was sitting there like made a post like I have no idea who the weekend is. People were like, you spelled it wrong. Well, hence I don't know who he is. I don't know how to spell his name. I told you I have no idea who he is.
Well, what did you think of the halftime show?
I didn't watch it.
Oh, you didn't. You didn't.
I wasn't interested in it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
You know what? I didn't think I would be either, but it wasn't too bad.
I don't know.
I was surprised by how many songs I knew.
I don't know any of his songs.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you a song or nothing. So, well, you out in the world more than I am. So.
Oh gosh, I counted. I didn't even count to 10.
I'm playing. It's not my kind of music. A lot of the newer stuff I don't really like as much. Now, if you talk 90s R&B, the 80s, 70s, we can. Early 2000s, I kind of start tapering off.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And plus, I'm getting old too now. I'm like, God, whatever. I'll be 40. I'll be 40 this year, Maya.
Oh, you're getting old.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting up there.
Yeah, 40 years old. But God's good though.
How does it feel?
Interesting. You keep freezing. Are you on media?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as long as they can hear us. But but it's cool. I've never had an issue with growing old.
Yeah.
My issue is not having certain things accomplished by a certain age too. That's the problem that gets me.
Mm-hmm.
Not the growing old piece. Yeah, I know 40's not old at all. 40's not old.
It really isn't. It really isn't.
It's not old at all. I just like saying that, but
no, I do think we get ourselves into that mind game of, like you said, we have to do certain things by the time we get to this age. And for me, I think that's where most of the anxiety comes from.
Yeah, because you want to accomplish.
I feel old.
Yeah, because you're like, I should have had some of these things accomplished. Especially now. Here's the difference. If it's not in your control, it's easier to deal with. At least for me.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a failure on my part, then that's a different story.
Yeah.
Then it's a little harder because I could have done better and I didn't. Mm-hmm. Versus anything else.
Yeah.
You can't always control everything. But that's a difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back and realizing that you could have did or should have did.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And it puts in perspective how fast time goes. You're like, what happened? It's almost been 10 years since I graduated college, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, we were up on our last year was our 20-year high school reunion.
Wow.
And we had to cancel it, of course, because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually thinking about going this year. I didn't go to the 10-year one. But I was like, dang, I've been out of high school for over 20 years. I'm like, geez.
What happened?
Right. And people be like, don't you remember me from high school? And I'm like, probably
Not a
not.
clue.
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of people I remember, like, if they said, like, if I've been, put it this way, if I haven't seen them since like June, the day we graduated, it's kind of hard to remember. A lot of people I know, a lot of, if they start talking, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember you.
Yeah, it will click that.
It'll click, you know. Oh well, this is what it is. They probably don't remember either. So most people I don't remember either. But it's so funny how the older you get, the more you start to recognize what's important, what's not, what's valuable, what's not.
Yeah.
The stuff in your teenage years that you thought was the worst is really not that bad.
Life changes. Life changes things.
Yeah. Everybody has that one or two embarrassing moments when you're in high school or a teenager or middle school, and you look back on it now and you're like, it was embarrassing, but you thought it was the end of the world. And you're like,
life is over.
Right.
It wasn't that big of a deal.
And you're like,
we're so dramatic in high school.
Thank you. And then you hit with a real life or death situation. You're older. You're like, that's really not that big of a deal. And considering some of the folk that we felt embarrassed in front of, we don't even talk to them now. So it's like,
yeah,
it's just so interesting how age gives you perspective. It really does.
Definitely.
It's like you really like, I don't care. Y'all really putting your ages in now. But with that in mind, last week we started talking about love. And what? But I'm gonna tie it into what we're talking about.
Okay.
What we're talking about. I think we talked about. I think what we should learn the older we get, is more self-love. And self-love is not narcissistic as long as it's humble and balanced. And God teaches you how to love yourself in Him. When you're younger, you don't have a lot of, even the ones that acted confident were really insecure.
I agree.
Yeah. And that's why when you talk to them, you were like, how could you be insecure? Like, I remember Janet Jackson did this interview with Jermaine Dupri. She was dating him, and she was talking about how she always felt so unattractive and didn't like her body and didn't like it. And all these women were like, are you serious? We wish we could have what you have. We wish. But it just goes to show how much insecurities dictate how you see the world, no matter how you look, no matter what's going on.
Yeah.
And the goal is to find God. I won't say to find God. The goal is to come into relationship with God first. And through that relationship, you start to develop a healthy sense of self, which I think a lot of Christians don't have.
Yeah. I was going to say, I feel like that's an aspect of things that a lot of people don't, like you said, don't have. Like I feel like we see things outward, how we relate to other people or relate to God, that we miss the point that how we relate to ourselves and how we love ourselves is also important.
Absolutely. And you kind of one of the places I love with a lot of women when they hit their 40s, and a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them, they kind of get this kind of I don't care kind of thing. And they start kind of being more settled, content with who they are. It's like a calmness that comes about them. And I think that, that usually comes with experience, where after a while you like, am I going to worry about this for the rest of my life? Am I going to let this make me miserable for the rest of my life? Or am I going to learn a sense of contentment? Contentment doesn't mean you don't want change or want more. Contentment means what you don't have isn't driving you crazy anymore.
Yeah.
You start appreciating what you have rather than what the ones that got it complain that they got it. The ones that don't have it complain they don't have it. It's like, which tells me having what you desire won't always make you happy.
Yeah. That's the truth.
Miserable people before marriage are going to be miserable after marriage. There's no special pixie dust that falls down at the
Yeah.
altar that makes somebody, super happy and changed. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. I think like we're looking for that satisfaction in all the wrong places. And once we get it, you realize it's still not meeting whatever those needs are.
Which shows you something's deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Pastor Betty, how you doing?
Hi.
And
Can I give a shout out to
great.
Silvana in Brazil also?
Oh, hi. How you doing?
I've always wanted to go there. That's cool.
Yeah. Be nice. I heard it's nice down there.
Yeah.
They'll be down there acting up the carnival. No, carnivals. Yeah, that's in Brazil. Yeah.
They have carnival there too.
Yeah. Don't go around that time. Don't need you on no cameras or nothing like that.
I would never.
But what was he talking about now?
My bad. I don't remember.
I was about to say something.
You were.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Deeper issues.
Yes. We think things and stuff are going to fix us. We think things, resources, people are going to fix all those internal things. When you find out they don't fix them.
Yeah.
They actually reveal them and can help you heal with the right person. But relationships are revealers. So if you want a close, intimate relationship, you're basically admitting that you want to be exposed more, because we are exposed in relationships, and stuff you thought you were over, stuff you didn't think you struggled with comes out in good relationships. And a lot of people that don't know that mismanage those seasons when old childhood things come up and old other things come up, and they don't know how to manage it, because all they think is, as we always talk about, Hallmark and Disney is going to be great every single day and praise the Lord, and and then your first fight, you're like, oh my God, what is going on? And you're like, calm down.
Yeah.
But what you don't deal with, the childhood issues that you don't deal with, are eventually going to come back up. They always come up.
That's true. And I think it's easy to rush into relationships not considering all those things, and then once you're in them, you're like, okay, you're not prepared for how to handle them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for people who might have done that and is just trying to balance everything out now, what would you say?
Well, I think this is where we have we have to do the work of dealing with those issues and not live in denial. All of us are at a certain age physically, but in different areas of our emotions and our psyche are another age. So we could be 40, 50, 60 physically, but still a 20-year-old or a 16-year-old in certain aspects of our lives where we haven't matured in. When they talk about the anointing destroys the yoke, right? Usually when, it was preached, it turns into a shout fest. But the way that they worked it was they would put these yokes on these animals to control them when they were younger. And as the animal grew under the work, under being fed, the sweat from the animal would begin to disintegrate the yoke, and thus destroying the yoke. As it grew and as it worked, the oil destroyed the yoke, right? So what they would do is they have to keep putting bigger yokes on it because it would keep destroying. Yeah. What I'm trying to say is that maturity destroys yokes. It's talking about maturing and growing destroys a lot of those childhood things. And then the enemy's always trying to put a bigger yoke on us to keep us controlled. But the reality is that, we have to position ourselves to confront what we're dealing with, confront what happens. And here's what I was thinking about. Understand our life story. If I could ask everybody right now, what is your life narrative? Would you be able to tell me?
I think it would be hard for a lot of people.
Yeah. What is your life story? What is your life narrative? What I mean by life narrative, how do you see the world? Do you always view it as something that's against you? A struggle, pain, disappointment, frustration, because your life story governs how you make decisions.
Yeah.
Your life story governs how you live. What story about you do you believe? Whew, I'm always going to be down. I'm never going to be good enough. I'll never get it together. And that life story can weigh you down after a while.
Yeah.
And what does God want to do in Ephesians? He says, "You're my workmanship. You're my poem. I want to start helping you write this story. I'll help change your life narrative and how you see life and what the story that you write about your life. We can work on that." Mm. You okay? You okay?
Yeah, I'm taking it in.
You sit there like you were reflecting. You was like,
Yeah.
and the other thing is, what created that life narrative? Literally, what created that life narrative? So without there being other things, we would never know that something about us is quote unquote flawed or something that's not good. If you grew up with people that everybody was your height,
right,
would you be
offended? You know
offended?
no difference. Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, you saw somebody taller than you, shorter than you, and you made an unhealthy comparison and start feeling bad about yourself because of somebody else. It goes back to the whole thing in the garden with God. Who told you? Who told you were too tall, too small, too big, too black, too white, too this, too that? Something created this life narrative.
Yeah.
We believed it. We held on to it. And now it's dictating our lives. And when God asked who told you, he was trying to get to the root of how they got to be who they were.
But why do you think our first inclination when we see that difference is to take that in and to see it as something negative as opposed to it just being something different?
I mean,
why do we need to?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I mean, it could be a variety of things. It could be looking at desired attention that somebody else is getting that I'm not. I think it comes from outcomes and benefits.
Okay.
So I see this person as something different than me, and I'm looking at the reaction they're getting that I'm not getting.
Gotcha.
And it makes me feel bad about me because I'm getting something that I'm not getting what that person's getting. I'm talking about the introductory phase of it. The introduction of it.
Yeah.
Or like citizen, like family will say stuff to you, and instead of being constructive and helpful, they just criticize rather than actually jumping out and trying to help. See, to me, security doesn't mean I'm fine with who I am and I don't change. Security to me is I'm secure enough in me to appreciate me while making necessary changes.
Yeah.
So security doesn't mean, I don't ever go to the gym. It means I'm secure enough to go to the gym, but I'm not that panicked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm secure enough to work with to work on me, but I'm not letting the worst of me define all of who I am.
Gotcha.
When Paul says there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, it was just a thorn. It wasn't all of who he was. You're more than your thorns. You're more than your insecurities. You're more than your issues.
Right.
But again, what created this narrative? Something happened. Somebody said something to you. Somebody did something to you. So some people experienced some trauma when they were younger, and they feel like that trauma is what they're worth. So talking to somebody, a couple people who dealt with this, who've been through some things, their life narrative is they're alive to make everybody else happy.
Wow.
While everybody else can run them over and they're completely miserable.
Wow.
And that's their life narrative, because there was a conditioning that they experienced when they were younger to please other people while they were being silenced and hurt.
Wow.
That can create a narrative. And then we act out that narrative all throughout our lives and then end up on the short end of the stick and wondering why nobody cares about me, why nobody loves me, well, you have attached yourselves to a bunch of people that use you because there was a narrative created that I'm only here to make other people happy while I suffer and miserable.
So is there a sense of comfort, though, in going after that same thing over and over again?
It's what you're familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to stay with what you're familiar with, even though you don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Completely don't like it, but you stay with the familiar even though it's making you miserable.
Wow.
Because the reality is it hurts, but it's what I know. And it's crazy how the fear of disappointment is stronger than the pain of what we currently know.
Right.
The fear of the unknown is harder to accept than the fear and the pain of what I do know, even though what I do know is practically killing me. My thing is like this: if you're going to be scared either way, I'd much rather be scared trying to get out of the pain and go forward than to stay stuck. But it's what we know, though. And change is not easy.
Yeah.
And change is hard.
Right. Because to some point, we have to relinquish control and just let things happen that we don't know.
Yeah. Dang, we're getting real deep into this thing, huh?
Yeah, we're supposed to be talking about love and fairy tales.
I didn't know this psychology thing was about to come out. But it takes that work to deal with our life narrative, because we all have one.
Yeah,
we have a money narrative. You know, how you were raised around money dictates your view on it. A relationship narrative, we have relationship narrative. All those things dictate. So we really got to go back to what caused this narrative. Because to me, I don't think you can really change without confronting what started it. You know.
No, because I mean, you'll just have a missing piece the entire time.
Yeah, everything's not let's lay hands on you and you free and I danced and I'm healed. That's not. A lot of stuff is work and time. And sometimes deliverance is management. It doesn't go away. I just learned to not let it control me.
Yeah.
And I get the victory over it daily. You know, I wish God took some stuff away now. But it didn't work out like that.
Yeah, but I think, in all, like, it's what makes you who you are. And regardless,
You're breaking up, and I didn't hear a word you just said. I don't know what's going on today.
Man, one day this is just gonna work.
Sorry, y'all. It could be all this weather too.
Maybe.
I don't know. What would you say? Would you say again?
I was saying, I don't remember it. Even in the management and looking at the things that you need to change, all that is still part of your story.
Right.
It's making who you are. So I think it's important, how you do it too.
Yeah, I mean, you could use it for your benefit or not. When Israel got to the promised land, God said he kept certain enemies in the land so that the nation can learn how to obey him. And the new generation that was coming that didn't know war would not take it for granted. So God, when they got to the promised land, kept some problems around just to keep them in a right character, right frame of mind. God knows what to keep in our lives to keep us dependent on him, needing him, walking with him. Because if we didn't have any problems, most of us would not serve God. Most people would not serve him like that. Come on now, read the book of Judges, the beginning part of it. That's literally what it says. I'm keeping these people around so that y'all can continue to obey me. For this new generation coming up that doesn't, know war like that, God knows what to take away and he knows what to keep around. He knows the thorns to keep in our lives. That's going to keep us praying, because without it, well, Job says it. God speaks. God suffering opens our ears. Yeah, it really does. It really does. Wow, we got deep today.
It's good though.
Because self-love is important, y'all.
Yeah.
It is.
You guys start with yourself first.
Yeah. Because I can't give the folk what I don't have.
Yep.
And I can't possess something without getting it from God.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it from him. He gives it to me, and I only treat people the way I treat myself.
Yep.
So I to know myself means to know God.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't know me outside of him. So the more I learn about him, the more I learn about me. The more I
Yeah.
learn about me, the more I can treat you better.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the person can't give us any more because it's not in them to give us the more. And we can't give it to them.
Yeah.
Because we treat people how we treat ourselves.
Yeah.
So I got to get it from God. It comes in me, and then I can properly pass it on to other people.
So what does self-love look like?
I think it looks like a healthy concept of God, a healthy concept of self, where I'm created in his image and likeness.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding, Psalm 139 is so intimate. He talks about he knows me in my inward parts, and he knew before the world began. He just,
Mm-hmm.
such intimate knowledge. God's such intimate knowledge of us, and learning to have that understanding that we're a mixture of light and dark, pain and healing, joy and sorrow, and
Yeah.
learning to be okay with that constant tension
Yeah.
of your holy side, your sinful side. And knowing that God meets you in that tension. And in those moments, you'll discover that God is with you there while you wrestle with yourself. Here it is. God finds you in your brokenness.
Mm-hmm.
Brokenness, like when in humbleness, like when David talks about Psalm 51, sacrifice and offering you would not, but you really want a broken and a contrite spirit, that brokenness that God wants.
Yeah.
Where I understand I'm a flawed vessel, but I'm still carrying God's light in me. It's him that makes me feel better about me. Him living in me. Paul says I'm crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live. It's the faith of Jesus Christ living through me. And the other thing is again, part of that is contentment. Learn. Paul said I had to learn how to be content.
Mm-hmm.
No matter whether I'm hungry, I'm content. Full content. Where my contentment is not based off of things, people. Those things come to make me happier. My contentment is between me and God. So that's kind of a roundabout way of having a healthy concept of seeing myself the way God sees me. Not denying my wrong. Hey, this is Darcel. I'm going to call you back. Not denying my wrong. Not denying the flaws in me, but understanding that I'm more than my flaws.
Yeah.
I'm more than something that's going to change.
Yeah.
Your body's going to change. You're more than that. If everything's based on that, you're going to be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So our lives are more than people too.
Yeah.
Because people can come, people can go, people pass away, things happen. That's why God tells us not to put our complete hope and trust on earthly things that are going to fade away.
Right.
So I kind of think that helps with a lot of our self-image, knowing who God says we are in his word, with the apple of his eye, and
Mm-hmm.
those types of things. But and when you're doing this, don't expect hell and the forces of darkness to try to fight.
Of course.
Yeah. Because the more you start feeling better about yourself, the more they'll start presenting stuff to make you feel worse about yourself.
Right. Try to challenge it.
Yeah.
But I think that's why it's important that you speak to yourself, and give yourself, those words of encouragement, and read the Bible and build yourself in that identity
Yeah.
as God's child.
Yeah. And do the work to confront some stuff. I'm not against therapy and getting to counseling, spiritual counseling stuff, to confront stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you need somebody else to help you see something you can't see on your own.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I feel a lot of times it's hard to see ourselves clearly.
it is. I'll say, I can be a very direct person. But I'm not trying to be mean. It's just how I talk. I'm just, but knowing that I can be a direct person, my voice carries naturally, and it's just loud sometimes. Naturally, when I have certain conversations, I have to be more tone low and strategic with how I say things, because I know I can just kind of and my intention is not to be mean or to cut focus. I'm just here. I'm a matter of fact person. It's just this or that. But I've had to learn that communication is not about how I want to communicate. It's how best can the person receive what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And when I discover how this person can receive it better, I make the adjustment.
Be mindful of that.
Yeah, and be mindful.
I feel like I'm the opposite. I have to learn to project better and to not be so strategic.
Yes. We're working on you.
I'm getting better.
I know. I'm getting better. Yeah. but it's knowing that. The burden of understanding is not on the hearer, it's on the speaker. So if somebody's not understanding me, it's my job to make myself understandable as best as I can. Because it's not up to you to understand me. It's my job to be understood. To be able to lower it where you can understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I think people forget that. But a lot of that comes with a positive self-image.
Yep.
And accepting your flaws too. I mean, not accepting them like, you just let them be. But
once you know they are there, you can improve on them.
Yeah, you can improve. The ones you can improve on them. The stuff you can't like, if you think your feet too big, they don't have no foot surgery. So what are you going to do?
They do have foot surgery though.
They shrink your feet.
Yeah, they can make your toes longer too.
Since when?
It can happen.
Well, if you don't have the money and don't want to go through all the pain all that, or you think
it's not worth it.
It's not, or you think your head too big. I don't think they have cranial surgery.
You never know.
Then you just learn to adjust and like your big head. Just somebody's gonna like it. I'm just like the stuff you can't change. You just you learn to work with. You can style your hair up right a certain way, and because these people are out of control with plastic surgery now. They just
really are.
It's out of control. Out of control.
You hear all these horror stories.
Yeah, it's crazy. You're frozen again. Are you sure it's not your computer?
One too.
Oh. Okay. So I think that self-love comes through God love. The more I learn about him, the more I learn about me. But we have to learn to be okay with us. And a lot of people don't talk about self-love though. They think it's arrogant. I don't think it's arrogant. I think it's part of it's having a positive self-image isn't bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all. As long as you're not arrogant about it.
Well, I think at that point, that's not self-love. That's promoting yourself.
Yeah. Because the people that always they always say, I love me, usually don't love themselves. That's what I've discovered.
Yeah.
I'm okay with me. I'm okay with me. I'm okay with me. Are you sure you're okay with you? Because you go around telling everybody about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like you're really not okay with you.
All right, so we got a question from Sid. Do you think that social media and technology has made it harder for young folks to have self-love?
Yes, absolutely. They did a study on how it affects how technology affects our emotional and psychological state. I am nervous about the future.
Yeah.
With all the AI and stuff coming out, it's going to be pretty cool. But they're expecting mental illness issues to rise like crazy. The less personable we are, the more we're going to see a lot of mental health issues. and people are doing stuff just for the gram and the constant comparison and all this stuff like that. They see somebody else doing it, and it's like a never-ending satisfaction. You're never satisfied.
Yeah. No, they're building themselves on things that are fake and expecting to live a real life, and it don't work that way.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason I think the Bible says, "Build your hopes on things eternal." All right, you saw it right. You saw it right.
I thought,
That build your hopes on things eternal. You got to hold to God's unchanging hand. You got you. We cannot forget about. I'm not against building a good life, a happy life on earth, but not at the expense of heaven.
mhm.
You know, and people, they're just getting out of control with this stuff. And I think what they see part of it is a shelf life,
Yeah,
in the window, and then they only do things within that window, and they want to make as much money as they can. But the problem is they keep forgetting you're the people that are really making that kind of money doing this stuff is very few and far between.
mhm.
Not as much as you think.
Very true. It's like they're starting to have a hard time too, keeping the money.
Yeah, oh yeah,
It's becoming too oversaturated by
it is.
that same look or
Mm-hmm.
genre, whatever it is that they're doing.
Yep. But I think you're right, because they forget Hollywood goes through cycles.
Mhm.
So the early 2000s, I remember when Paris Hilton was at her height, celebrity wise,
Yeah.
and Nicole Richie, Hollywood went through this phase where you had to be like a size 2 and below
Mhm.
to be accepted. And you saw all these stars, I mean, losing drastic amounts of weight to get these spots and so and so.
Mm.
And then when they start seeing all the bad effects, then it was like, oh, this is unhealthy. We can't do this, And then all of a sudden they stopped with the super bony look.
Yeah.
But again, and look at what they were doing. It was willing to hurt themselves just to go through this cyclical cycle, only to see the bad effects and then go up to something else. And it's the world. The world is like a roller coaster.
Mhm.
It's like a monster that eats you up and spits you out and move on to the next person. It will move on to the next person easily.
Yeah.
The machine never stops. It just finds the next one. That's why as much as people, get on Kevin Hart, I'm like, look, he got in there and his thing is, look, it's not going to last forever. I'm going to be in every movie. I'm going to be in every TV show. And he said it. He said, I'm going to make the most of this time to build what I need to build. So what'd you say?
Get me while you can. I said you gotta get me while you can.
Yeah. And he said that, I'm gonna make as much money as I can, build this thing up. So by the time they move on to somebody else, he'll have a production studio, a writing team, so he can start producing people when he's no longer wanted in the movie theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knows there's gonna be a time where they're gonna move on to the next new person.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Princess Diana. Yeah, the Princess Diana thing in The Crown was like, jeez. That was a good show too.
Is that accurate though?
Yes.
Or was that for show?
No, she was bulimic.
Wow.
But I think in real life, she said it happened. I think they were married, and I think Prince Charles either tapped on her stomach and said made a remark or something, and she said it started happening after that.
Wow.
But she never felt welcomed in the house, and she would say, "Now, I'm only saying what she said."
Mm-hmm.
That the queen wasn't the easy person to talk to, or she could barely talk to her about their problems and stuff, and all that stuff kind of took a toll on her. So a lot of that stuff is true. Some of it's not, but she did suffer from bulimia, though. She said. Crazy, man.
Crazy.
People want a certain life, but they don't know what it takes to have all that life either.
Yeah.
That's
find out the hard way.
That's the thing. All right, it's 1:46. You gotta get out of here. You still can't see, can you?
I can see that.
Put your glasses on, just squint.
I need new glasses because they're all scratched and everything.
All right. What's going on this week?
So this week, of course, we're coming back today with our recap team and a rebroadcast of yesterday's service. On Tuesday, we have a presentation from our Women's Diamonds Ministry with Pastor Prescott. So tune in tomorrow at 7 for that. Of course, we're continuing the conversation of prayer on Wednesday for Word Impact. Thursday, it is our Sound Mind panel, which is good. Sound Mind, which is going to be great. That's at 7. Friday. What's Friday, Pastor Nick?
Fresh Friday. I remember.
Fresh Friday. So, of course, you already know we're going to have a good time. Fresh Friday. On Point Saturday at 9. And then emerging worship at 6. And then we're back for a full day of worship on Sunday starting at 8 a.m. The encounter service again at 11. And our Engage Live team will be here at 9:45 for some fun times. And, of course, the Q&A discussion, the Bishop and Pastor Nick. So that's the full week, and we'll post the schedule for it on social media too.
Yeah, we'll get it there. And y'all get ready for Bible Study Wednesday. We're continuing on prayer. God's just bringing some stuff up. I think I'll hold a title till Wednesday night.
Okay.
It hit me last night while I was praying. So plus I want to explain it so people won't think it's too crazy, but we'll see what happens.
Sounds good.
Yep. All right, y'all. Lord bless you. Lord keep you. See y'all later. Bye.
Bye.